You gotta tell. It's why it's called a threat. You don't know the hypotheticals in there that could happen to you.
Why do you think
she's not a well-known singer, so she's not going around with security? As soon as she goes to get her tracks at the mall,
right?
Pow!
Right, but at the same time,
now we got a whole bunch of dead cats.
Yeah, but like what she said in the footage, you know, today on The View was basically it's not white people who was threatening her. It was us who was threatening her.
Right. Where do you think she live? I think she live in Atlanta.
Exactly.
They gonna get her at the Ku Klux Klan mall and drag her by her hair. Her hair made a cat. She got the new weave.
I don't have Jennifer Holiday money, honey. I don't know what it might be because it's. I don't got Jennifer Holiday money, but. Me personally, I feel as though, you know, like I said, once I kind of came out, and even being on this show, because I'm pretty sure the headline says Trump supporter, I'm putting a lot of myself out there. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is Dr. Wren, and we are here on Salacious Life's Hump Day Discourse. There's the camera right there.
I see what you're saying. You got a mad echo, John. I feel like I'm on the Avengers.
Yeah, so don't wear them. We got your boy, Sonny, here. You ready?
Ready? Ready? No, still an echo.
Leave it alone.
What's good, what's good, Baltimore? What's good? How you doing? How you doing, Dr. Wren?
How you doing?
Hey, Nicole. Can I switch?
Your bag. Your bag.
Oh, the bag. Oh.
Put it over there.
Clearly.
The bag.
The bag.
Yeah.
Am I good with this? All right. I'm good. Hello. Hello.
You were so
I don't know
silly.
if I can hear. I said, hey. Hold on. What's good, everybody? How y'all doing? Word.
You ready for Hump Day Discourse today?
Oh. I need to hump on something. I ain't been humping for a minute.
I mean, you know.
Need to hump on the humping.
Hump on the humping?
Hump on the humping. All right. I'm going to need to. Am I hearing everybody? Am I supposed to hear you, Nicole?
No. She'll talk through the walkie-talkie.
This is my first radio interview, so I'm going to exercise all the disclaimer of it.
Okay. It's cool. If Nikki needs us, she'll hit us on the walkie-talkie.
I need everybody to just...
What?
Bask in the deliciousness of Dr. Wren.
Oh, well, thank you.
I need everyone.
Hear that, Nikki? Bask in the deliciousness of Dr. Wren.
Of Dr. Wren. And I'm gonna need a Wi-Fi password, but yes. How you guys doing, man? What's happening? What's happening? We started to get into a real deep conversation.
We really did. We really did.
I'm gonna have my thing so I can pull up facts and stuff. I get the thing on the break, the Wi-Fi password on the break.
Sounds like a plan. I could just shoot my Wi-Fi off my phone too.
Oh,
we can do that too.
Technology.
I don't mind.
Deliciousness and technology.
But I have to still do that on the break because I don't want everybody in the world to know my Wi-Fi password from my cell phone.
I could dig it.
But when we go on the break, we were having an interesting conversation before the show. So I need to put y'all dig with something. So we were talking about the balance and how I have a perception of balance because I have no balance. And how you crave the balance because balance. It's your nature.
It's with me and balance. Hey, I'm a Libra Nation, everyone.
Yeah.
Libra Nation, everyone.
You're outnumbered here because you know we got a bunch of Scorpios here.
Word, but that's all good. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are beautiful. Y'all are beautiful and passionate. And I love that about y'all.
Do you?
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Are we infectious?
We are. You guys are addictive because life doesn't afford us the opportunity to have extremes without some sort of very negative consequence or risk of consequence. And I think Scorpios, when they are benevolent, are a pleasant and positive extreme that that the world doesn't always get a chance to experience without. It's like a real, like a, you don't guarantee, you like when you base jump, there's a chance that the parachute won't open. You feel what I'm saying?
I said that earlier today. I was saying to a friend of mine, I was like, I'm ready to just dive off the cliff with the hopes that there's water underneath. But I'm ready to take the risk. Like, I'm at that level where it's okay if it's not. Like, I'm that good with things that it's okay if it's no water underneath. Can you dive? Do you have that level of conviction that you will just jump? You can't see shit. It's nothing but a black abyss, and you're just praying that there's 50 feet of water at the bottom.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't as they're I shouldn't say aren't as. I think the word I guess the phrase I would say is a lot of people are more cautious.
Yeah, and I'm not cautious.
And when you're cautious, a lot of times I'm super, and I have to get out of that. I'm speaking to the views of that I express are that of me. I had to promise myself I was going to say this as close to the beginning of the show as possible.
Okay.
The views are that of myself and based off of my experiences. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert of other men, because I have a very unique path in dealing with romance and with so my platform, or what I want to, one of the other things I wanted to say is my platform as an artist. I'm an artist. I'm a rap artist and poet and writer and everything else, trying to accentuate those art forms. I don't want to get sidetracked here. Let me take a drink. They're the views of me, and I have a unique path, and my platform is improving the relationships between black men and black women.
Okay.
Because we've learned a bunch of bullshit from our previous generations, dating back to when we had a real jacked up, beginning in this country. So we have to basically unlearn everything we've learned in regards to dealing with relationships and relearn them in a healthy, non-dysfunctional or functional way. So with all that being said, I've known that for a long time, and that has driven me to have more unique experiences than the typical thing that we were given, the typical tradition that we were given.
See, I grew up in a strange home, because...
Footnote, unicorn.
We will get to that.
Right.
Right. We have a footnote unicorn that we have to discuss.
Yes.
I grew up in a strange situation because you have we didn't have a lot of American experience in our family.
Right. And that's why you're just the person to be doctoring and fixing people. Well,
I have a very unique perspective on relationships, on monogamy, on the whole 9 yards, on what works, what doesn't. I always give, like how you said, you give the disclaimer that you are speaking from your own truths.
Right.
What you've learned and what's unique to you. I speak my truths, but they're largely what's the word I'm looking for? Researched. I spend a lot of time in reflection, not only on my own experiences, but the experiences of the people around me. Right. What has worked, what hasn't. You know what I mean? Like why this person, hasn't ever met a man before, never been married before, and this one has been married 5 times. I'm exaggerating. Maybe. Or somebody like me. I had a couple exes, just some normal shit, but I just, I reflect on it. That I'm very black and white, hot and cold, so once it's cold, it's done. And there's no repairing it. A relationship with me is very much like a twig. It can bend. It's a little flexible. But once it snaps, there's no putting it back together.
That's a fact. And going into the footnote of...
So, footnote unicorn, because you didn't tell me what this was. You just said, remind me.
I remind you. We were in a part of...
I'm fine.
Salacious in the house.
You gonna leave my Eagles, rain boots alone.
Your ankles are either really dry or really wet from sweat, and that's not a bad.
No, they're not.
They're really dry. So yeah, they're moist. What did you say? Okay.
I've been wearing these boots every day for like 2 weeks because I was determined that they were gonna win. Everybody told me that they weren't.
I knew they were going to win.
People were giving me all this bullshit about how they suck and this is that. I mean,
I knew they were going to win. I knew it.
That was the best thing. Well, one of the best things that happened for me this year. It gave me that motivation, the underdog, to just come up and beat.
They were not going to allow that. They were not going. The thing with. Side note, right?
Side note.
The thing with the Eagles was. They have been tormented by Cowboys fans
forever,
right?
Forever.
And the poetic justice of them reaching, them getting a ring before post, of course, the Troy Aikman, like
right, yeah.
There are people that could, drive limos before that have existed longer since the Super Bowl that the Cowboys won. Right. So it's been in a very long. But that whole time they were tormenting Eagles fans in that division. So it's very poetic that they got their ring before the Dak Prescotts and the Ezekiel Elliott's did.
Right.
And that's really like they weren't going to. Ravens beat Tom Brady. So
right.
I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm good with my bird. You know what I'm saying? Good. But the Ravens beat Tom Brady and the Giants beat Tom Brady. So and the Steelers beat Tom Brady. Yeah. But they did it by not letting up or not being scared. And one thing the Eagles, not with all the pressure of Philadelphia, I used to live in Philadelphia for
what it's like.
They were intent on, okay, we're not going to get our hopes up. When I was driving in Philly, they were like, okay, they're doing good. I'm proud of them. We're just going to send them positive energy. We're not going to give them
really
any expectations.
No expectations. The same thing I feel like you should have with a relationship. You should believe in it.
That's how you tie shit in there. That's how you tie shit in for a host. That's hosting 101. Hosting 101. Hosting 101. Hosting 101. You tie that in.
But I'm just saying, Absolutely. It's the same shit. You believe in a relationship. You send it positive energy. You don't have any unrealistic expectations. You just go with it and believe that the shit is going to work. You jump off the cliff and hope there's water underneath.
And there we go back to the unicorn.
So the unicorn.
The unicorn or the uniqueness of a lot of the things that you talk about and a lot of perspective that you talk about in this show,
like me
which
particularly?
Is very okay. In this show, in the context of relationships, are very much they're very fair and they're very needed. So you're unique in that when you are talking about relationships, you include a male perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
No. I see. Now it's absolutely to you because you're the unicorn. You feel what I'm saying? We're talking.
I don't understand. Please enlighten me.
Let me elaborate. A lot of times, and I've always wanted to tell you this. I always wanted to compliment you on this. Is that a lot of times the goals of a relationship exclude the man and his perspective.
But it shouldn't.
Of course it's because you're a unicorn. And because of that, you have a horn in the middle of your forehead, and you're like, oh. So a lot of the things that you share, it's not just some, it's not just some willy-nilly perspective. It's really not only research, but it's actually backed with,
real life,
real life shit.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times when I hear, because mind you, my whole platform, my whole art, everything that is me is based on improving the relationship between men and women. Right. Now, a lot of times men are completely deficient, or I've seen from my observation that men are deficient in having an emotional place, an emotional standing. They're deficient in really being able to empathize. Why? Not because we don't want to, but because we're not included in the whole idea of a relationship.
It's like, it's her.
It's not. I'm not going to say it's her because I don't think they actively intentionally.
I don't think so either. I think that, especially when it comes to men of color, I think men of color have been, and you've probably heard me say this before, unjustly killed or incarcerated or removed from the family or what have you, so many times, not always unjustly, but so many times unjustly, that women of color have learned to get this kind of, I have to run this shit kind of attitude. I'm that fuck it, I'll do it attitude.
Yeah, but you know where that stems from though?
And then it comes generationally, because even if you have a good man, you've been taught to be that way.
But it stems from, and I don't want to bring, the mood down, but it stems from the fact that we were bred. We were breeded. Right. Am I saying that correctly?
We were bred.
Bread.
Bread.
Not bread as in yeast.
Bread as in we bred a good dog.
Bred, like a pit bull.
Right.
Okay.
Like I said, like a dog.
How niggas be...
Hold on. Let's not even get into it. We're going to get back into a pit bull. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with Salacious Life.
I got to reload my shit.
Exposed Radio.
Well, if you made them, take care of them.
Yeah, that's period. Real. You right. That's the real deal.
It's period.
Right. And all that old money shouldn't go toward this, money should go to, if the child is with one of the parents 24/7, 7 days a week, you don't even come get your child every day. You come get your child once a month maybe, or once every 3 months.
Right.
You cannot dictate where that money goes, especially if the child ain't calling you about nothing. Now, if the child calling you every week, then you can question about where the child support is going. But if every time you pick up the child, they look nice, they ain't complaining about nothing, why are you worrying about where the money go at?
It is what it is. Radio show.
Even as a comedian, if I say a joke and it just might not fit your cup of tea, but it's mine, that's what a comedian is supposed to do.
But people forget
everybody's not going to find your jokes funny. They better find mine funny.
But they forget that though. They really forget that. They forget that but it's your view. That's why they didn't fire her.
Yeah.
Because her viewpoint is controversial.
Her view. That's the view she sees.
Right.
Everybody is clear to her.
Like they did the reaction to
cellophane.
They did the reaction to the Chris Rock Oscar, and they were talking about Stacey Dash, and I don't think she agrees with Stacey Dash, but she pointed her out as somebody who has an opinion that's just different from everybody else's.
Her opinion is just stupid, though. Stacey Dash she's like a Dash. Let's just move on.
I think she's intelligent, but her
You're still going.
Opinion.
We're gonna move on. Stacey Dash doesn't need to be talked about. She's irrelevant.
You said her name like 3 times already.
She's irrelevant.
I said it once.
Dash. ... So
I couldn't have meant that more. She is so irrelevant. I'm not even gonna say her name. But we're here every Tuesday, and we talk about people just like that at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We are back. We are back with this week's Hump Day Discourse. We are talking about personality types and the relationships between men and women and where the breakdown has happened. So we left off with people of color were bred like a pit bull, because that's something everybody can relate to.
Like, hopefully everybody that at least there's at least a 2 or 3 degree separation of the culture of pit bulls, and we were pit bulls. Yeah. And a lot of that is the reason why I don't want to go like super duper deep into it, but a lot of the athletes and all that stuff we were just talking about, the Super Bowl, we come down from like physical excellence, mental excellence, because you had to be sharp enough to get through all of that stuff. But I bring that up for a separate reason. I bring that up because we were lynched whenever we decided to show some rebellion, or we didn't want to exist when we didn't want to exist as slaves. And
like, I always thought of us. You remember? Were you a Trekkie? Did you watch Star Trek?
I'm getting into this new Discovery though.
Well,
that new Discovery is a motherfucker. Shout out to Slangston Hughes. That's my best friend right there.
Star Trek had a character. I don't know what you call it, like a being, an alien. Mm-hmm. Even though everybody was aliens, but anyway, they were called the Borg. The Borg were a unified mind. There were thousands of them, but they were a unified mind. And I remember this particular character. I want to say it was on Deep Space Nine. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki. But her name was 7 of 9 because she was 7 of 9.
She was the 7th of 9.
Of 9, right?
That's dope.
So her name was 7 of 9, and I always thought about
gonna
that.
Freak out at this point. Huh? My boy is a Trekkie, like all you like. Oh, so the fact that you even saying that is like, oh, I know he's like somewhere.
Well, because it's true.
You're right.
But I think about how much of our culture is we've become a Borg, like we have a shared mind, and that we are controlled in a cluster, in a group.
There goes that unicorn horn again. That's the ideal of what we should be at this point, because
but we don't have a collective. Like
that's what I'm saying.
We have this. What's the word I'm looking for? Dysfunctional rebellion.
Let me get into that. So let me get into that. So what happened was, a lot of the times there were, now when you talk about how white supremacy and all of that stuff is, so rampant, like it wasn't even crazy. It's not even crazy now as it was back then. A lot of things was, oh shit, nigga, you look at me wrong, you're out of there. You even have an attitude.
In this country is so strange to me because, like, I didn't understand it for a long time because that was not something I had ever had to face until I was like 12.
Right.
When I first came to Maryland.
Right.
First time I really realized that there was that people were treated differently.
It was the energy
based on
off of that
color. Right. Because where I'm from, everybody looks alike. You know what I mean? So what you were treated differently.
And if it ain't you, I'm going to where that place is, and I'm gonna find me something like that.
No, that's funny. You're funny. So, but people were treated differently there based on your religious practices. That became your ethnicity. So studying ethnicity when I got here in American history, at least I did 20th century American history because I was not going that far back because I was like, it really is irrelevant at this point. I need to know what just happened so that I can kind of get an idea of why people are crazy. You know?
You're not gonna get. Listen, you're not gonna get that. Like I said, let me continue. So a lot of that was, okay, if you look at me the wrong way, or if I as a slave owner have a crush on this slave chick and she's effing this Mandingo dude over here, I don't like that. So I'm gonna trade him. I'm gonna either trade him or if she bucks back at me, I'm not gonna kill her. I'm gonna kill him. So it got to a point where there was no way for a man to protect his woman. So, and there was no, and the more affection, I'm writing this in a song and stuff, but the more affection or the more that there is a open thing of showing, damn, that's my girl and blah, 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 dialogue you're targeted now.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you're targeted by this slave owner to get back at her or to, now I need you to do these sexual favors so I don't kill this dude. So all of that passed down through generations, and now men and women don't know how to publicly show affection or show emotion to each other because of all of these things that stem from such a dark and
you
terrible
know what's so
past.
Crazy is because like I was on Monty's show one time, and we talked about slave mentality. I was on Talk Lately with Monty, and we talked about the slave mentality because we were talking about disciplining children. But the slave mentality has a far larger reach than we give it credit, and it needs to be. And we need to recognize it so that we can address it. Do you know what I mean? Because it kind of covers all the way across.
We got to wipe all of that shit clean and really restart. What we're doing right now is a beautiful time, like with Black Panther. And like, I just watched this Kendrick Lamar and SZA video. Yeah, and at the end, he's looking at four black women that are towering over him, like as gods, and he's just looking at them. That was the visual that was given, and what all of our existence stems from that. But now, because of this really dark, horrible past, we have found ways to. We're still dealing with the after effects or the ripples of that wave.
What's your advice, or what would your response be? So if I ask you, if I'm trying to tell women how to uplift, what would you like? If I would say, okay, woman, this is what you need to do to create the type of relationship that you really want, but you don't know you need with a black man, what would you say?
You wrote it down. I had you write it down for a reason.
I listen.
Yeah, read that again.
I listen.
We were talking during the break, and she was mentioning some things that were personal that showed that she had a firmer grasp of the male perspective because of the routines that she has. That's safe to say, right? And one of the things that she said was, I listened to them and I said, hold up, before you continue on, write that down because it's important. One of the things that everyone was asking Erykah Badu, they were like, Badu, please impart wisdom on us because you have had such an enormous successful track record of dealing with exceptional men. What was it that you did that made them fall so hard in love with you? What can we do?
And she said,
wait a minute, let me finish exactly. What can we do, Miss Badu? Because we can't get niggas to text us back, but you have some of the most sought after African American men in love with you. Even after they break up with you,
they still love her.
They still will protect her like a fighter bee, like a killer bee will protect a queen. And she said, I listen.
On that note, we'll be right back. We'll be with Hump Day Discourse. I listen.
Check out this snippet from the new season of Talk Lately with Monty about Jennifer Holliday.
Anyway, let's get back to
yeah. Well, what I wanted to say is that I can understand 100% where Jennifer Holliday is coming from, and that's sort of kind of where my 20% came from. When I basically came out and said who I voted for, I received a lot of backlash. Even on my own talk show, which comes on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m., I was called a coon. Okay, yeah, shout out for the plug. But yeah, someone actually, you know, they told CJ Bernie that I was a coon, and that really hurt me. I've been called everything from a fat whatever and everything, but someone actually commented on his Facebook
I didn't even say that. That's kind of rough.
Called me a coon, but it's like I like you. It's crazy because I just feel like someone like Jennifer Holliday. I understand why she stepped down, but I'm kind of upset with her because I think she still should have performed. You know, if you're going to jump out there, then stand in your truth. Don't let no one stop you or change your mind about anything. And listen, no one put a gun to her head and made her sign on for that. But it just seems like, you know, she was basically, she was bullied.
But see, the thing about it is they will put a gun to her head to not do it.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what the threat says. You got to tell. It's why it's called a threat. You don't know the hypotheticals in there that could happen to you.
Why do you think
she's not a well-known singer, so she's not going around with security? As soon as she goes to get her tracks at the mall,
right?
Pow!
Right, but at the same time,
now we got a whole bunch of dead cats.
Yeah, but like what she said in the footage, you know, today on The View was basically it's not white people who was threatening her. It was us who was threatening her.
Right. Where do you think she live? I think she live in Atlanta.
Exactly.
They gonna get her at the Ku Klux Klan mall and drag her by her hair. You know her hair made a cat. She got the new weave.
I don't have Jennifer Holliday money, honey.
Yeah,
I don't know what it might be because it's. I don't got Jennifer Holliday money, but me personally, I feel as though, you know, like I said, once I kind of came out, and even being on this show, because I'm pretty sure the headline says Trump supporter, I'm putting a lot of myself out there. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
This week's Hump Day Discourse, and we are talking about personality types and the relationship between men and women. I got my boy Sonny here, and I mean, he's got my mind turning, which is wonderful because I'm sapiosexual, so this is a good way to spend my hump day. So he mentioned that I had the key somehow because I listened.
You stumbled upon.
I stumbled upon the
Indiana Jones,
like the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
So I'm sharing it, ladies, men. If you're with men, I don't care. If you're dealing with a man, if you were a man, are a man, whatever. Listen.
But
like,
don't listen. But the thing is, when you're saying you're
listening, without imposing your own thoughts and processes on what that person is conveying. You have to listen openly and without judgment. You have to literally don't hear them, listen,
and don't wait to talk. You'll have plenty of time to talk. When you get a dude who can say what he wants without feeling like it's going to be used against him or there's consequences to how he feels, then you'll have plenty of time and he'll listen to you as well. He wants to know whatever it is you're going through, but a lot of times where you say you can't talk to him, and well, it's because you're really not listening and applying what you're hearing and really embracing what it's saying. The application of what you hear, like I always talk about growing in a relationship, right? And I don't think everybody understands what I mean by that. Like you said, it starts with listening to one another. Like I mentioned a few shows ago, you may have heard it, where I said sex gets better after the second or third time because you listen to one another's bodies. It gets better. You have to listen on all fronts. I talk about the 5 F's to a relationship, right? So you got family, friendship, fucking, food, and wait, what's the other one, Nikki? No, that's not one of the 5 F's. She gonna add another F to it.
There was family, friendship, finance, food, and fucking, right? So listen about, have a conversation about it. I talked about the pre-relationship conversation. The pre-sex conversations. And they shouldn't be light. Like, lay that shit out and don't be afraid of how that person's going to react, because at the end of the day, you're playing with your own emotions.
You're playing with your happiness.
your livelihood,
and a lot of times,
everything.
Here's what I've
she said
here's
foreplay.
what I've
I'm sorry.
here's what I reploy. She turned it into
foreplay is for conclave at the end of the month. The stages of sex. She said with the stages of sex.
Said, foreplay. Head. Fuck's the matter with you?
It's between 9 and 11. That's where my head's supposed to be
Right. It's between 9 and 11 on hump day. All she's thinking about is head.
Speaking of the foot of it all, the foot of it all. Goddamn. Foreplay. Word associated. I get you. Hey.
So speaking of foreplay, before we get off that subject,
what time is that? We're gonna talk about sex the second half.
Yeah, but real quick, we have conclave at the end of the month on the 24th. We're doing gin and gestures. And gin and gestures will be our normal discussion, but we are breaking down the 3 stages of sex. So my last conclave, Roseanne Reputate, we talked about the 3 stages of sex and that there are 3 stages of sex. So now I'm going to break down those 3 stages of sex, and we will have...
Is it 24th?
This is the 24th. It's at Club Reverb at 8 o'clock. We will be talking about sensual touch and how to do things properly, toys. We'll have our girl Rena in the building. She is the plug for every salacious item you need.
I have not been to any of the events
so
far, so I
should probably go because you're behind. Because Nikki has been to all of the events, so she went through the 5 F's. She went through the 3 stages, and now she'll get the foreplay.
Foreplay, goddammit.
Foreplay, goddammit.
Which is the 5 foreplay? That's not one of the fucking ones. Fuck it. Foreplay and fucking.
Foreplay and fucking.
5th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. No.
So
anyway, we were talking about listening.
Right. The thing is even in so what I wanted to touch on was in order to there needs to be some sort of self-evaluation in listening and being able to be because here's the thing. A lot of times in relationships, or people need relationships, or people find relationships, or a lot of the dysfunction comes from control and having a lack of control or abuse of control.
That's
or
the
whatever.
word, abuse of control.
And a lot of that stems from...
But isn't a relationship a partnership? So isn't that the give and take of
control and decision-making? That stems from not knowing if the person you're in love with is going to die. Going back to the lynching thing. I can't run back. Sorry. I can't run to this nigga and hug him the way I want to, or this nigga
he might get killed.
Because he might get killed. They may know that that's the one that I love, so he get killed.
He said, I can't love this man because he might die. But you know what? A lot of African American females feel like that even today because men are getting killed.
And if I show open expression, or if niggas was bringing flowers to their favorite, field slave, and next thing you know, damn, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
Because
now he knows that you love her, and there's somebody gonna die.
Somebody's gonna die.
Or God forbid you get pregnant and have a kid or somebody gonna die. That's the reality that we had that stems from all of this bullshit, was a lack of control. So we have to put that behind us in order to say, all right, boom, I got control. Like, the motherfucker's gonna be here. He done expressed his love, but I have to really listen without trying to resisting the urge to control or dictate the conversation. That's where truth comes in. And you have to have faith that there's truth, that truth is being given. Like, okay, I have to have faith that this motherfucker is just telling me the truth.
That's hard
and
for a lot of people.
Because
faith has been challenged, I feel like, with people of color, because one, a lot of faith has been imposed upon them. So there's that, right? And then there's the, I pray, and my son gets killed. So then you see what I'm saying? Like something traumatic and tragic happens.
No real control.
So there's no control. So having faith, I think, is complicated in itself. It's
complicated because you can't. A lot of times, people don't want to get their hopes up,
right? Because
because
scared.
They don't want to get let down.
But my thing is this, and I said this. I
now,
think I just said this
apply
just
that
yesterday.
to love.
Well, I said this just yesterday. I said I might get run over by a tractor trailer in a new relationship because I'm gonna open up. Because a heart that is open to give love is also open to receive it. A heart that is guarded is never loved, or at least never experiences love,
or never really under. You know what the best shit? The best shit is. All right, I always wanted to talk about this. I hope y'all listening. I hope both women are listening. I hope some dudes relate to this. Because right now that's not cool or whatever. Niggas got to be hard or whatever.
No, fuck whatever. That. Everybody need to listen.
Whatever.
Dr. Wren will tell you how to make it work.
Women, that moment. Have anybody seen the movie Hitch?
Yeah.
That moment when Kevin James takes his inhaler and throws that motherfucker down the street
and walks
up to her and kisses, and she kisses back. It's not just it's the important thing about the direction of that, and I think they caught the nuance, is they didn't end with him just grabbing her and kissing her. They had him with the puckered lips in front of the camera with his lips all puckered.
Yeah.
It was that she seen it and was like, this nigga really likes me, and kissed
him back.
And
he opened up to being loved, and
he jumped, and she received. Now, mind you, she doesn't know that nigga went dancing in the street, and most women don't know niggas dance in the street, and that's the important thing that you guys have to realize.
Okay.
That you have to find a dude who is going to dance in the street. A lot of times, you have such a you're so nervous as women that you don't really understand that there is a reciprocation. And a lot of times, and don't kill me, but a lot of times when niggas is so good and so used to and so smooth, they're usually doing that because they have practice at it so often that it's like dribbling between, it's like Steph Curry dribbling between his legs. The nervous, awkward dude is the guy that you guys want to target because he's not used to putting himself out there, and because he doesn't want to be hurt. Most dudes who's so smooth and with the rest,
he's guarded as fuck.
That's one thing. He's guarded, but at the same time, he's less susceptible to be open because he's like, yo, I'm doing this as a reflex, as opposed to the dude who's like, nah, I really want this to mean something. I really like. It's funny because like the dudes who get rejected, they really want it to mean something when it crushes them. Like it crushes, a lot of times it crushes the dude, because I'm not talking about the street harassment and all that bullshit. That's a whole nother thing. But there's a dude who may be scared to really just put himself out there, so he may just put himself out, ask out in a very obscure way, and you just take it as, oh, he's just being a friend and blah, blah, blah. I'm usually used to men being in control and take the nigga who's that dude, he does that. Like, that's what he do. Every night before and after you, that's why he's so good at it. Ain't no nigga that's really good at it doing it without practice. So the dude who's not that good at it, yeah, he's not that good at it with you right now. But maybe, like you were saying, maybe 4 times, 3 times, 2 or 3 times down the line, then that nigga is able to blow your fucking mind because he's comfortable with knowing the level of consent that's involved. Like, okay, she really wants me to do this. She really wants me to what's her name. So now that I'm comfortable and I don't have to deal with the rejection, or if I'm doing it, he's paying attention to things that normally a nigga be like, yo, shit, I don't really give a shit. I drink every night. So why the fuck am I giving, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a routine for, and I'm not saying, and like I said, I'm not speaking for all men. I'm just speaking from what I've been able to see.
Now, I've had other men,
or not see.
I've had other men give me similar experiences, similar information over the years. And as a woman, yeah, you like the confident man because he makes you feel safe, right? So a lot of times the dude that dribbles and shit like that.
That's not safety though.
It's not, no, but I mean, like, you feel like he won't let shit go down if y'all in public, shit like that.
Well, that's, it's driving, basically. This dude's driving as an analogy.
Right.
A dude who is driving,
right,
he makes you feel safe because he drives all the time.
All the time. Versus the dude that only gets in a car once a week.
But yeah, whether you're, but the thing is whether he's driving you or not, he's driving all the time. So,
and like I tell, I mean, and I get it, I get it. Like, I definitely, just like my team, I definitely root for the underdog. Because a lot of times the win is more genuine. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. There's no deflate nation in my relationship. You know what I mean? Because you got your underdog, somebody who is willing to put in the same work that you are.
I could put in, I can give it a very perfect example. Tom Brady said, man, how do you feel about losing? It sucks, man. I'm telling you, it sucks. It sucks. Now, let the Philadelphia Eagles have lost. It would have devastated the whole goddamn city. Everybody, oh my God. The Super Bowl.
Again.
That motherfucker said, it sucks.
No, it would have been so much worse than sucking.
It would have, exactly.
It would have felt like,
so let's take that analogy. How does it feel that she rejected you? Oh, it sucked.
Because you get rejected every 5 minutes.
Because you're shooting your shot every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes. So of course you're gonna hit something. It's like the photographer that takes 1,000 shots and publishes 1.
Right.
Or the talented photographer that takes 5 shots.
And the motherfuckers is
every single one is hitting.
And that's what, like, that should be the foundation of how things should shift. Because right now, if you know it or not, shit is shifting. Like, this shit that we talking about next week, motherfucking premiere of Black Panther, I don't think motherfuckers realize how deep this motherfucking shit is about to be, yo.
It's about to be real.
It's about to be real as a motherfucker. You know you living in a time of progression when the Superman film is whack and Black Panther shit is going to be top 5 movie.
Right.
Of comic movies.
Yeah.
African-based, no colonization, no any of that shit. Did you know
there's only one country in Africa that's never been colonized? Isn't that crazy? Anyway, we need to take a break. We'll be right back with Salacious Live.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out.
Exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique but you're not doing anything in that nature, and I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously, because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, and I was thinking, like,
the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
There's a rumor going around that Tyler Perry and Oprah are beefing. Well, let me tell you about this. Tyler, told Oprah, bitch, if you don't have my money, we're going to have a problem. Ooh. Oprah said, what is the problem? Ooh. You said if I don't have your money, there was going to be a problem. So Oprah is standing her ground like, bitch, I'm in charge. You may have a $250 million studio over there that you film all your shows and movies and stuff on, but I have the empire. That's what Oprah said.
Oh, these are her exact words. Allegedly.
I made this up. But
allegedly.
I made it all up. But there was a rumor that they were beefing. But Tyler confirms that they don't have any issues. So it says it was recently reported on the rumors that was swirling that the twosome were on the outs over constructive.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
That's the applause, right? Yeah, that's a nigga. We good, right? Yeah, that's.
Oh shit!
I told you.
We back. I'm sitting here talking about my phone ringer. Anyway.
The applause is the cue.
Yeah. But you were right. Like, we were talking about the devastation of it all, the rejection that is felt by the guy who puts a great deal of emphasis on that one shot versus the guy who shoots all his shots.
It means something.
It means something.
It means something, and that's what, like, some people doesn't. Some people, I'm not saying this is an absolute thing, because there's sometimes where it doesn't mean anything and it grows into something very meaningful. What I'm saying is for some dudes, well, I put it to you like this. I'm speaking for the dudes who are, and this will go perfectly into the other footnote. Yeah. I'm speaking for the dudes who are snobs, in that I feel like you're not really, and this is just me, you're not really a man until you exercise some sort of self-control. If you can't control yourself, then it's very difficult for someone to have faith in you being able to be, being able to control yourself. You know what I'm saying? In situations. So it's like, when you have a pit bull, for example, and you train that pit bull to be able to control itself, it's a much more pleasant experience than a pit bull that just shits all over the place and pees all over the place.
Or rips your head off.
Or fucks all over the place. Or attacks you. You know what I'm saying? But
and I happen to like pit bulls.
And everybody kind of like, that used to be.
Because it's like the underdog dog.
But you got to think.
It's the nigga dog.
How many people know that in Little Rascals, Spike was a pit bull with the little circle around the eye?
Around his eye.
He was a pit bull. But I say that to say.
I have a Cujo.
I say that to say. I say that to say that a man with some self-control is not approaching every woman that is attractive, and black women.
What are attractive in abundance?
A more more women are attractive than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a lot of women who are absolutely beautiful who doesn't think that they are. And they are. You know what I'm saying? They're comparing themselves to a lot of these.
Yeah, to what the media says is beautiful.
No, even Instagram.
Or that's media. To me, that's still media.
Yeah, it's media, but it's self-orchestrated people that you choose to follow and stuff like that. And a lot of them
but it's all a trickle-down effect.
And a lot of them are gorgeous.
You've got your... Not that I have anything against it, but you got your Nicki Minaj's, right? Who'll get a lot of work done.
That's the
right?
girl. That's my girl.
Gotta love her, right? But we all know she's had a lot of work done.
She's had work done. So there's a lot of women that do have work done.
So these other women,
and they're beautiful,
and they get this work done.
And there's women who, and because of them, the women who don't have the work done, they don't think that they add up. As far as beauty is concerned.
There are men who glorify her big breast or her big butt that aren't real.
But there's a lot of men who glorify
but not publicly.
Now, I mean, and that's the culture. That's the culture is to blame for that. Like, I'm not making excuses, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not speaking for men.
Beautiful, natural women.
But there's a lot of
let somebody come out with no makeup on, and niggas like, what the fuck happened to her? She looked, what's it, busted. That's the way. She looks busted. But then, you got people coming out with nothing is real.
But I'm going to tell you like this, though. A lot of men don't really honestly feel that way but they're saying that because they're taught to say that. They think that that's what they need to say in order to appear normal. That's what people are.
But why do people feel so obligated to be normal in this country?
Because the social pressures of being right now. Okay, how much time we got before we start talking about sex and shit? A lot of times we are dealing with. We are just like you had said before. We are not unified or under one mind. So a lot of times we are attacked. A lot of times we are. The key word in my life for the past 2 years, and I've been talking to my man from writingformylife.com. When you get a chance, check out Writing for My Life, Archie the Messenger, Lyrical the Lyricist, I Love You Niggas, and Walter and all of those, Walter Maxfield Jones, who's with Warm Wednesdays and all of that shit. Shout out to people, everybody who's ever been to Warm Wednesdays one. That being said, a lot of times men have been subject to a lot of trending. I kind of lost my train of thought. Shout outs like a dumbass and shit. But we've been dealing with trending, and a lot of times that's the one I want. We're not unified because we're always attacked. We are attacked.
Is it a haint in here? I was just told today that I did not have a haint.
No, that was me not closing the door all the way.
Okay, because I went and checked. Because I thought something was trying to get my black ass. So I went and checked to make sure I didn't have a haint. People, not everybody loves Dr. Wren like y'all do. And I had to make sure nobody was playing.
Let me tell you something. You are fine. And a lot of time, for example, BBWs, Big Beautiful Women, right? It's not necessarily trendy to love on beautiful black women or beautiful big women because of a culture or a perception that is given to us or that is acknowledged. And the pressure of feeling, that's the word I wanted to say. I've been talking about. The word that I wanted to say is trauma. A lot of shit that we have experienced in this city is trauma-based. It's based off of trauma and dealing with trauma and coping with trauma. And people have friends that die on a regular basis in this city. Like, we just celebrated probably the first time in years, Baltimore ceasefire.
For the whole weekend.
Congratulations and shout out to
Congratulations, shout out to that shit.
Nobody died.
But we're saying this. And shout out to y'all and what y'all doing and Latrice Grant, Latrice Gant. Shout out to all of y'all. Y'all doing some beautiful work.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have to include the fact that even when we're celebrating a weekend where nobody died, we're celebrating it. A weekend where nobody died, and God bless. We should have. We should have that all the time, and God bless the work that we're doing, and I love the progress that we're making, and they've been at it, and they've been adamant about that, and that's the most wonderful thing. But we also have to acknowledge and find ways to attach the trauma of that even being a celebration, because that's not normal. That's not how other parts of this country function. And because other parts of this country don't function that way, they can't relate to something like that being an accomplishment. So,
but we live in, like, I love this city. I'm not from this city, but I love this city. This is my home, right? It's my home.
Word.
And this is where my child is. So I'm not leaving anytime soon.
Oh, but you...
Because when I tell you now, the history and culture of this particular city is past amazing and beautiful. I mean, it's like the copper pot that you get from the thrift store.
Word.
It just needs a little polishing.
Oh,
but it is everything.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. Shout out to... a brown fish.
Yeah.
That was my brother, and I love that brother because for 1,000 reasons and stuff. But he embraced me and said, "Yo, you got a mother here," and I introduced me to his mother. You got a brother here, and introduced me to his brother and his family. Say, "Yo," and my grandmother, who just recently she just suffered a loss with his grandfather passing and stuff, Brother Lee. Shout out to y'all, love y'all. He told me, like, yo, this is your home. Like, if anybody has a problem, they have to go through me. And artistically, Baltimore has made me. I feel like I'm a dope rapper. I feel like I'm really dope, and I say that with as much restraint and as much humility as possible.
Humility is important.
Really dope rapper. So, we'll get to that, and hopefully I can come back when I have some art to present the scene or whatever. But all that being said, like, y'all have such a beautiful culture that cultivates the best art.
Ever.
Even
like,
if there was a top 3, Baltimore is at least top 3 as far as creating artists in any.
I agree. And it's funny because it's an inspiring city. The work that I've written since I've been here, I've been writing my whole life. The work that I've written since I've been here is different, and it has. It has bone to it, right. and I can't help but assume that it's from my exposure.
It's not an assumption. It's really like that's why I shouted out Warm Wednesdays, because Warm Wednesdays.
I remember Warm Wednesdays.
Warm Wednesdays. A lot of people would not be the artists they are today without Warm Wednesdays. And the adversity of that stage, and Baltimore being able to see you on a platform, to be able to, so you can, whether you knew it or not, when you got off of that Warm Wednesday stage, if people were dapping you up, or people were like, "Good, you'll recover."
Yeah.
You'll get better.
You'll get better.
Like, that is the essence of what Baltimore is, and Baltimore has to, along with the
beauty. This is a grind city.
Yeah,
I will say that. The
Baltimore
grind and hustle mentality of this city. You know what's crazy? So I was, I study history.
Footnote healing. Footnote healing.
Got it. So I was studying the history of this city, right? Because I was trying to understand the people who live here and the reason why the interaction between people have been so greatly compromised is how I feel. It's just I'm watching people can't talk to each other. Niggas don't know how to get a woman's phone number without offending her, and God forbid she's in a relationship and doesn't want to be disrespectful to her man. Then he turns around and lays her ass out. So I tried to figure out what was going on. So I'm reading about and I'm studying the history of the city, and I'm looking at this used to be the most beautifully blue collar town. If you had good hands and a reasonable mind, you can make a good living here, raise your family. This was the town to live in. Mm-hmm. And then it all went away.
I had an uncle that builds ships here.
Yeah. We have one shipyard left versus we used to have dozens. We used to have a steel mill that is now gone. Do we still process sugar here? Because that's the only thing left. We still have, we have the ports, so we're still bringing in, we still have the midshipmen and stuff that's bringing in the cars and the goods and things like that. But a lot of the blue collar stuff, this has become a healthcare government type town.
That's a whole nother thing.
So that means if you don't have a damn master's degree, you can't make a reasonable living here. And what that does, there's a trickle-down effect to that. Men who can't make a decent living have a hard time attracting the female because she's not making a decent living. So she's looking for, that level of support and security. And then if two broke people get together, then they're fighting and fussing all the time. And then you got to worry about, so then the man is trying to make things work. So he might go do a few things that, might be a little bit.
And they're waiting right there with the
mouse
trap.
And they're waiting
to
take them out.
So, again, we talking about.
So how do we interact?
Men, we're talking about men with good men, good dudes, people who have good hearts. A lot of brothers here really have good hearts, but we're dealing with a bunch of dysfunction that is really we're putting it through filters of bullshit that is allowing them not to have to really be who they really want to be. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're talking about, a long history of men who are being exorbitantly punished for doing things that protect their livelihood, their family, their women.
Absolutely.
They're being extremely punished. And then you have the pressure of women, not saying it's anybody's fault on the woman's side, but I need them to really understand the perspective that they're giving, in that they're not seeing the challenges because they're not really listening to the struggle.
Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, I'm just bringing
People
it all.
Have to listen.
I'm just putting it all together so it doesn't seem like one thing is mutually
is disconnected from the other. No, everything is connected. There is a flow. And people are not in alignment.
So you got a woman who, rightly so, from the evidence that she's seeing with her own eyes, a man who can't fully protect her or her kids, and then you couple it with the fact that he cannot get a decent earning to really be able to contribute because of some other shit that don't have nothing to do with the household. Then you add in the fact that you're not really listening, and you setting up a real messed up situation that leads to trauma, because this shit is traumatic to men. Absolutely. Men want to love you. Men want to be able to provide and protect you. But niggas want to be able to walk home from a store without getting their neck snapped too.
Don't we all? These days, the crimes that used to, I hate to say it, only happen to guys,
Dog.
It's anybody. Shit is just not okay. How can you have a meaningful relationship with someone if you're always constantly worried about somebody being killed or snatched or raped or what have you?
If you really have a justifiable reason to have an attitude with somebody, at your job, you gotta suppress that. And then you come home and you gotta suppress all of that shit. Energy is neither created or destroyed. I feel like the
home should be your place of solace.
But it says the woman with the horn sticking out of her forehead. I'm not saying that you're not right. Absolutely, you are right. And absolutely, this is a perspective that needs to be shared. But you got a horn sticking out of your forehead. I need for them to really understand that you're not just saying that.
No, I mean
and that you're an expert, and that the things that you're saying, like listen, or just go through. Like, all right, so here's an idea. This world exclusive. Me and a friend of mine, me and the homie from Writing for My Life. He thought of the idea. Jarrell Lyrical, the lyricist. Shout out to you again. He thought of an idea for a show where women can talk about their grievances with men, and men have to be there and not be able to say a word.
I wouldn't like that. I want the conversation.
Because you're a unicorn. But here's why this is important. Because a lot of times women also don't feel like they're being listened to. True. And women have grievances, very valid fucking grievances that stem from men and their trauma that need to be heard without some nigga trying to validate himself or justify his position. Because mind you, I'm objective when I'm saying what I'm saying.
Right, but people need to realize, both men and women need to realize, don't justify fucked up ass behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Own what you do. Take whatever consequences come with it. I tell my son all the time.
And that's where the silence comes. But that's where that silence
because they don't want to own it.
Because you have to shut the fuck up and let someone say what it is they're feeling, what you're doing is making them feel that way, and why that shit needs to stop.
I tell my son every time I see him, every day, I tell him there are consequences for all actions, both good and bad. And you have to own both good and bad consequences because it's all part of your journey. It's what makes you you. Own it. If you fuck up, you fucked up. I fucked up today. I own that shit. I did. I fucked something up today. And it was my fault. And I own that shit.
I agree 1,000%. My favorite battle rapper, Goods. He just punched the shit out of this battle rapper. And he was dead wrong. And God bless him, he made it right by going on, by going online and reaching out to the dude by phone and saying, yo, I was wrong. I own all of that. And the thing is, a lot of times, and moving on from dude, God bless, salute Goods. That's one of my favorites. Owning it means sometimes shutting the fuck up and being able to listen to what the fuck was done and why that and the effect that it's had. That's why that part of that show is important.
You just said you just said a very important key that I need to put emphasis on. What effect that it's had. Because just because you don't agree doesn't mean that person's feelings aren't valid. That person's feelings are valid because they're feeling them.
Right.
And if you love that person for no other reason than the fact that person is feeling them, those feelings are valid.
Right.
And they have had some sort of effect, good or bad, and that needs to be understood.
And that's why.
We get back to listening.
I'm bringing it up now because, one, for two reasons. I want to document it because if somebody comes up, I mentioned this in a barbershop. And somebody kind of was like, so what kind of idea you have? I want to bring this to my team or blah, 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 blah. And I want to make sure that it's heard first here because I don't want them to try to steal my idea or steal my friend's idea and try to bastardize it.
Yeah.
But also because it's related to everything that is salacious.
It's real.
The pussy gets wet when every aspect of who that being is, who that woman is acknowledged and respected and loved and embraced and comforted and all of those things.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm dwelling on this stage of the salacious part of the program, because all of those things, the fact of the matter is we're dealing with comfort, the comfort level. Those 5 elements that you had mentioned, those 5 F's, are all dealing with comfort.
Absolutely.
And people being able to feel emotionally safe with all of their dealings with all of their
security is so important to all. Men need to feel safe and secure. Women need to feel safe and secure. What men are looking for is that consistency. That woman, that ride or die. Isn't that what they say all the time? I want my ride or die.
It's a real generic fucking term.
It's a generic term, but it has real validity.
It has real bones to it.
It has real bones to it. Women are looking for protection and security and consistency. That real security. Like, this nigga might fuck somebody up if he comes after me because I'm not a big person kind of security. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All the way to the security, like my lights are going to go off and I'll be able to feed my kids.
But that's, you know what, that's surface level shit. Here, let's dig into the second layer of that. They want to feel.
Hold that thought. We need to take a break.
All right.
After the commercial, we're going to take it to that next level.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Salacious.
All right, you might have the footnote.
Is what it is radio show.
Wait, all right, listen. All right, say situation. Cause I keep telling y'all, it's different situations in the child support thing. You can't just pinpoint one thing. You can't just say, "Oh, he a deadbeat. That's why you're on child support." Oh, he this. That's why you're on child support. Oh, she this. That's why she on child support. No, sometimes it could just go off of. Oh, I just called him and asked him, can he pay for the pictures? He ain't want to pay for the pictures. I'm taking his ass downtown. Yup.
Well, you got to know. Know who you dating.
Hold up. I just called her and asked could she just get Junior some shoes. She couldn't even get him no church shoes. I'm taking her ass downtown. Now, when you go downtown, you go down there, you get $500. Right. Now you mad because you getting $500, and now you really ain't getting no shoes for Junior or Lord CC because you getting $500 now. Right.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, if you're a good father or a good mother, and you paying child support, right? You still gonna go ahead and do all that because
hold up.
It's just what it is.
Hold on, and that's another situation.
Right.
But you know what that creates? Now when we at the party. Mommy and Daddy ain't even down there speaking to each other. Cause Daddy done paid for the party and he done came out of pocket this month with $600.
But right, that's your child.
He shouldn't be mad.
Listen. He shouldn't be mad, but he also has another child with his wife.
That's on him.
Okay, go ahead. He got another child with his wife.
Okay.
Right. And you're taking away from him. And they taking away from him.
Well, he should have kept it in his pants.
Exactly.
Should have kept it in his pants. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Stop complaining.
You on some whole, he on some whole other shit over here. He on some whole other shit. I'm gonna tell you.
Be Exposed Radio.
Let go of our anger over it. We can say, you know what?
Yeah.
We knew that would come. We knew better, and we were allowing something to happen. We almost fostered, maybe even
bring it on yourself.
Yeah, indulged in it to the point where that person could take advantage of us because we created a false, a
whole false everything.
Well, really, what happens is what you said before, because if you know who you are, and when you connect with someone who isn't fully who you want them to be, you start to find reasons to fill in those gaps to satisfy your own need, to make yourself believe they are who you want. You know that the first day. So when you go down the road and you get to that one day when those gaps the plug is pulled out, I knew it.
Hey.
I knew it.
I knew it was coming.
But why did you do it?
Yeah, you set yourself
up. Because you thought it was the closest thing to fulfillment. So you accepted it, and you figured you could do what? change the person.
You know what's funny?
That's why
I never thought I could change the person. You know who I thought I could change?
The behavior.
No, you know who I thought I could change?
Yeah.
I thought I could change me. I thought I could mold or manipulate myself to adapt to that person. And that was actually, and I'm glad I went through this experience, because that was when I realized, no, there are
Salacious Life Radio Show.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We're back. Yeah, because I deserve an applause. Because I'm a nice person. And I like to be applauded for that.
Yes, you deserve that.
Thank you.
Now,
but the love.
So we were right there, footnote the love, because we want to highlight that. But the next level.
So we had the second layer.
The second layer of security. Is that I believe that where people kind of leave, once they get that first level, it's like, all right, that's it, and they don't really dig deeper. But I think the second level is emotional security.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like when you can trust a person to be protective of your emotions,
right,
that's where things kind of become. That's what's needed, but that is what is also not seen. I don't think people are asking for that. I don't think people are requesting that actively in their interactions with people. It's not that he is, or that you're fearful that he's being unfaithful or all of those. I think I need you to know how I feel so that you could be protective of how I feel. And that is and
like, I really believe, like, you're right. When it comes to infidelity, it's not as much that the person was unfaithful as much as the person was careless with the other person's feelings.
And making decisions based on that is something that we do, but we don't necessarily really understand that that's the root of why we do it. Like, if I'm dating somebody or if I'm interested in a woman, I need to know that she is, and this is me as a man speaking. So I'm teasing you about being a unicorn, but I'm a fucking unicorn with wings. I get it. I get it. I'm not looking for, as a single dude, I'm not looking for the sexual connection. That's going to be there. That's going to be there.
If you can make a mental, emotional connection.
I love women, yes. It's beautiful. But can I trust you with my emotional well-being? Do I trust you with my happiness? I've been happily single for longer than I care. Longer than I care to admit. But I'm happy. And
you can be happy alone.
But I don't necessarily want to be alone, but I do want to be happy.
I suggest to most people, though, that they find that place where they are happy alone before they seek out a relationship, because you can't look for someone to fix it for you. Like, you have to be at least secure in who you are.
And that's why I say
not where you are, but who you are.
And that's what I'm talking about with healing. The process of us, I think that was a footnote of healing.
Yeah.
Being able to heal, allowing ourselves to heal.
That's why
and not having the pressure.
You've got to reflect, because the pressure of past relationships will tear apart a brand new one, even if it was written in the stars.
Right. And you have to be able, both men and women have to give themselves time and a space where they're comfortable and they're healed in order to be able to reflect.
You know what I have to get better at?
What do you got to get better at?
I think.
You think?
And I mean, not necessarily right now, but just in general, like, because you brought this up and it made me think about it. Over the years, one thing that I was not good at, I think I'm probably better at it now than I would have been. is physically leaving a relationship after I emotionally and mentally check out. Isn't it? I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah, that's delicious. I think that comes along with the fact that everything it's not just physical. Everything is connected. So when you're feeling a physical, when you're used to a certain vibration, when you're used to a certain frequency and being in a frequency, it's a little, and not aware that it's attached to all of these other things. Yeah. It is difficult to separate yourself from, it's difficult to go to 89.5 when you've been listening to 92Q all your life. Now I'm listening to talk radio when I've been listening my whole life. It's a different literally, it's a different
92Q to 88.1.
Yeah, it's it's different. It's difficult because it's literally a different frequency that you tap into. So even if you're emotionally somewhere else, that physical frequency, that vibration that you're used to is addictive. And it is something that, and most of the time women don't well, I shouldn't say women, just most of the time people don't want to move on from one frequency until they have another frequency to dial into.
And I don't like that. Like, I don't like that. I'm not that type of person. Like, now granted, once I emotionally, mentally check out, typically physically I'm checked out too, technically speaking. I just haven't, I need to start putting the nail in the coffin kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't like conflict. Because I told you I'm trying to stay in the blue. I ain't going to the amber. Right. And see, sometimes when you're trying to put the nail in the coffin, people pull out that amber side of you, and you're ready to, you'll burn that motherfucker up.
But that comes from listening. Like, nigga, I already know. You know. You know. I sent you to the store to get some blunts, and you kept coming back with papers. You know that I asked for blunts. Not saying that that's what, but I'm saying like, and you know I'm asking for this, and you're giving me that, and you're not being honest about why you keep giving me that and can't give me this, and that is means for dismissal. Yeah. But we have to exhibit self-discipline and self-control. And being and having faith, like, you know what? I'm fine as shit. So me finding a frequency that's better suited for me, it's not going to be as difficult as I think it is. I'm more beautiful than I'm giving myself credit for. So why the fuck am I spending time in a graveyard? Why am I hosting a class in a graveyard and no one is attending? No one's sitting at the desk.
Because everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead. The graveyard is the greatest place for unused potential. I think that was said by Les Brown when he was quoting someone else or something, and I'm paraphrasing and shit. But ultimately, graveyards are, you can't host a yoga class in a graveyard.
Absolutely not.
So like,
why would you? Now, granted, if it's like 95 degrees outside, graveyards are extra fucking cool, so I might well host a yoga class.
Yeah, but I mean, not with the people that is already dead.
But not the people that's already there. You'd have to invite live attendees.
You would have to, and why would you invite them to a graveyard when there's a perfectly great park over here?
Because it's hot.
You see what I'm saying?
We gotta take a break. Nikki said we have to take a break.
Nikki, take it.
Nikki,
she on
let's
her
take
job.
that break. We'll be right back with Salacious Live.
Check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired radio show.
So, since we're talking about the book, can you give people a synopsis of what the book is and what's the name of the book again, and then what it's about?
The name of the book is From Trial to Afflictions. More than one, because there were more than one afflictions.
Yes.
The book is talking about, actually, it's my life story. And I have to add in there that when that prophet told me, he said, tell your story, write the story. He said, and God said, tell your addiction. Now, see, I'm not going to tell the addiction because you have to get the book to read it. But it was about deliverance. It was about all the, trials and tribulations we go through. People that come into our life, even people that come to try and break you down or draw you down so that you can't stand for God or worship Him through your situation, because that's the adversary using them. We have to know that. But through it all, I was still praying and fasting. I needed help from God. I really did. I needed help from God to see me through. And for anyone that's going through, I say that this book is about different afflictions. Yes. Going through them, how you get through them. And I had a sister pushing me too, praying for me. I thank God for that again. Yes. But it also talks about deliverance. There is deliverance in the process. Yes. And you have to be willing to see yourself first to know that you need deliverance.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
What you
watching
think?
10 hours of 20 hours of footage, you feel what I'm saying, of content of your thoughts, you feel what I'm saying? So let me chill and really make sure that I'm on a frequency that at least makes sense. From what I know. Like, I don't want to act like I know so much before.
Because you studied my work.
Because of the work, you know what I'm saying? So that would be, it wouldn't make sense.
I find that one has to listen, specifically listen. Don't be doing something else, or don't look at anything. Like, you almost need to close your eyes so that you can really take in what somebody's saying. And then on top of it, you need to listen to yourself. Like, you have to love yourself first. I say it all the time, and I'll never stop saying it, because until you are in love, I mean actively love yourself, you can't possibly share anything with somebody else because you don't have your oxygen mask on.
Right. Another analogy I like to use in life, another analogy, you can't reflect if there's still waves. Like the lake, I like to use a lake as an example, where if the water is completely calm, you could see yourself, or you could reflect. If there's turmoil, that means there's ripples in the waves, and you can't see the reflection.
You see a distorted
reflection. You won't be able to see the reflection at all. Your eyes can't process that quick. So you have to, at some point, make it so that it's vital
to make the water settle.
It's vital to all of us in this community, in this black community, in any community, really, not just black. But fuck that, y'all got enough shit. So I'm gonna talk to the black people. So it's vital in the black community that there is that we calm ourselves, we clean our houses, we do our laundry, we calm down everything so we could properly reflect and then learn from the reflection. And it's one thing to have a reflection. Of course, everyone has a reflection, but you have to learn from the reflection in order to, I like this. You know what? When he says this, blah, 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 and this type of thing, when I'm feeling this way, it's because of this, or I'm missing this void. This is what I'm really actually missing. So this is what I'm asking for when I'm nagging about that. Or you have to really explore yourself, and explore yourself in a context of love, not in self-pity and not in a place that,
no,
I need to be
beautiful, from the light. You have to.
From a lit, objective, fair. There's shit that I don't like about myself right now that
we
I
all have this shit we don't like.
And that is something that I'm going, the only way that I'm going to properly work on that is if I'm really healed in all of the other aspects of my life. And I think I got that from Oprah.
But I think it's important to...
That's hilarious, by the way.
Right. But I think... Yeah, it's funny. But, but at least you acknowledge it. Like, a lot of people will have things they don't love about themselves. Things they want to improve. Excuse me, everybody, for yawning. I've had an extremely long day. But I mean what I say when you look at your reflection, both good and bad, and you decide what you love about yourself. And then you work on the things that you don't, that you're not fond of. I'd say love yourself completely.
Right.
But the things that you feel like could use a little polishing, the hell was that? What was that?
The door. It's all good.
Oh, like good. Let's scare the shit out of me. So, you have to focus on
the things
that are wonderful to give you that solid foundation, and then polish the things
and
that
the
are.
Momentum, because everything is energy.
Oh, absolutely.
The momentum of the things that you love about yourself, and there's a lot to love. Will fix those little nuances and those little things that you don't necessarily really fully enjoy about yourself. But it's always a continuous process, and there's always
life.
Healing.
Isn't that living?
Absolutely. But I'm saying, I'm not talking about...
Like you die when you stop growing.
I'm saying that because people aren't... Everybody's at different stages of their journey. There's people that really don't like 90% of who they are when they don't, and when there's no reason to. And that's the encouraging thing of what we're saying.
And those are the people who need to learn to love themselves.
Right. And they take bullshit, and then they get
mad
mad on
about
them.
it.
Then they're mad about that they're taking bullshit. Like I'm saying, I'm saying this for the person that's at 98% of their self-actualization and someone that's at 3% of their self-actualization. It's still a process. And the more you are on that process of improving yourself, then you can relate, you can be inspired, you can be creative. All of those things stem from making some sort of progress towards self-actualization.
Like, I think it's funny because you said something and it just made me think about something else though. Don't be about the destination, about perfecting yourself, because it's what speaks to your character isn't what has happened to you, but how you've handled it. So it's about the journey. It's about the progress,
right.
About the learning experience. It's not about getting the degree. It's about going to school and the things that happen when you're there.
And the experience.
The
and
experience
the
of it all.
Being in the present.
And I feel the same way about relationships. Women, stop trying to hurry up and get married. Men, stop trying to hurry up and lock her down, get her off the market.
Or stop trying to think about
the next bitch you're gonna fuck.
Right.
Moving on before you even finish that shit.
Here's one thing I know. There's a lot of red flags from situations where you have no business being there.
So why did you put yourself in that position?
Because it's fucking sex or something. There's an element of that person.
Control your sex.
But there's self-control. Let me finish, though. Let me finish, sweetie. There is somebody who has this fat ass, but they cannot get any other aspect of their life together. And there's a dude who wants to experience that woman.
Just physically experience that woman.
He wants to fit, so he will.
So he wants the rest of the shit from the solid women, and then he just wants to physically feel her?
He wants to bypass all of those things just so he can experience that experience with her. But it's like, that's not a good thing. What I'm saying is that while that is normalized in our culture, you know somebody ain't shit, but they may have, they may walk a certain way, or that certain shit that they're good at is good, but really, ultimately, dudes need to really, like I said, they need to elevate from dudes to men in exercising self-control. Because guess what? All of that shit ends up at number 1 Charles. What is the shit? Charles. What is it? Charles Street.
Which one?
1 Charles Street.
1 Charles Plaza.
Yeah, 1 Charles.
Child support. 1 Charles Plaza.
Yeah, exactly, and vice versa. In situations where you have situations where it's just not it's impossible to gain happiness because someone knows the source of your happiness, and now they're being able to pull the puppet strings on your happiness. You have to vigilantly and fervently protect your emotions and your happiness.
Well, you are responsible for your own happiness.
Most men don't even want to acknowledge their emotions. They don't want. I use the analogy of potatoes in the corner of the room. Listen, hear me out. The emotions to men are like potatoes, and if I hear a comedian do this, I'm killing them. They're like potatoes in the room. Women, since they were born, were learned how to process the potatoes, how to skin the potatoes. Okay, this is going to be my little crinkle cut French fries. It's going to be my steak fries over here. It's going to be my home fries over here. But I know how, and I have a bunch of women and friends that will help me process these potatoes. Where men, they look at the pile of potatoes and they just
see a pile.
They
don't see the potential. They don't want to cut the potato.
They don't want to peel. They don't want, because that's processing their potatoes. Is processing their emotion. When something happens, when a girl falls in the yard when she's a kid and she's playing, oh baby, what happened? You hurt your knee? How does your knee feel? Oh, let me kiss your knee. Oh, how does it make you feel? Girl gets hurt and their crush is kissing someone else. They got 3 or 4 girlfriends to come over and say, girl, let me tell you something. What, you are special, you are wonderful, and he's a fool to not love you the way that you want to be loved. And how did that make you feel?
That be like, that bitch ain't shit.
So what happened? What did he say when he said that? Oh, you can process everything that made you feel every little way. When men get their heart broke, it's, nigga, let's get over that shit.
Chin up.
Nigga, be a man. If a kid falls on the floor,
stop crying.
Stop crying. Be a man. Be a big boy.
Be
a big boy. We're not taught to process our emotions, so therefore all the things that are emotional and emotionally triggered or triggering, we don't have the tools to process them. And we have to stop that. As much as there's going to be somebody that's going to be like, that nigga mad soft, what the fuck is he talking about, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of men, all men, who have these emotions, and they're potatoes in the corner of the room, and they're piling up, and they're piling up, and they're not going anywhere.
Somebody needs to cut something.
There needs to be some processing of it, and what I want to bring, or what I want to offer, is the tools for some men to really be able to process how to feel and how they are feeling, because it's okay to feel whatever the fuck you feel.
Didn't I just say
feelings
are valid because he's feeling them?
Yeah, but
whether he's right or wrong, there is no right or wrong with feelings.
But women learn from men, and then they also impose those same things. Oh, you just being soft. I can't be with a man who just soft. All of that shit is bullshit, and we have to scrape the slate clean in order to change the narrative, because shit is changing with or without these niggas. Because guess what? I'm going to Black Panther. I already got my motherfucking IMAX 3D motherfucking seat, dead smack in the middle of the motherfucking theater. I don't have no motherfucking dashiki, but I would be wearing a dashiki. I'll probably have a black hoodie. I'm ready for the change. I'm ready for being able to embrace what it is my emotional state is and I have the tool being a poet. Poets, they think and they process how they feel for a living, for fun.
For fun.
They
enjoy their process.
A lot of dudes do not want to even go into that.
But it's so crazy because most of the poets I know.
Most of the poets you know.
Are men.
Poets. I'm not talking about.
Oh, you just talking men in general.
I'm talking about the whole slate. The dudes that we are, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not speaking for just me because I'm processed. My potatoes is cut.
You ain't got no pile in the corner.
I ain't got no pile in the corner. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no pile. I can own up to and be truthful about whatever the fuck I feel about whatever the fuck I want to feel.
Absolutely.
You fine as a motherfucker.
Oh,
I can tell you that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So that's not no issue with me. My issue is am I emotionally going to be protected to these people to these women that I feel like, you know what I'm saying? So are you going to take that information and be responsible with that information, or are you going to fucking make me feel like I'm some sort of mutant for having feelings? You feel what I'm saying? Right. So we have to change the whole culture because the whole culture is fucked up. Because sometimes women just play with niggas' emotions for the fuck of it. Sometimes.
Why?
Sometimes. And sometimes men know women feel a certain way and they like, yo, that's all right, whatever. And they ignite that. Bob Marley quote comes to mind is, you're not a man if you ignite a love that you don't plan on cultivating.
I agree with that.
I'm paraphrasing for all you Bob Marley nerds out there. That's
right,
like,
but I know what you're saying, though.
But yeah, if you're igniting a love into somebody and you have no intention of following through with it, then you're not really the shit.
Yeah, you kind of fucked up.
You're a fucked up person. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to weed out that we feel like that's necessary. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's not a necessary or a logical function, but because we're dealing with trauma, we can justify pretty much anything. We could justify anything,
but why justify instead of just healing and rebuilding and moving on? Why try to make excuses for old behavior? We are gonna go.
Because you got a horn sticking out of your forehead and you a unicorn, and that's why you thinking about that. What I'm saying is, what the point of my being on this radio, we're having this topic, is to bring awareness to that behavior, that's what the fuck y'all are doing. And me being a dude who actually made this his platform, I could actually objectively see the sources of all of this fuck shit, you know what I'm saying, without bias one way or another, because niggas be on some fuck shit, but I promise you 80% of the time niggas are on some fuck shit because we have been handed fuck shit since we were kids. Yeah. We are dealing with trauma that we don't even know that we're dealing with trauma. So a lot of the shit that
then go get some fucking help.
Okay, but it's one thing.
There's nothing wrong with seeking,
of course,
counsel.
Unicorn, of course, I get that. But if you don't even know that your knee is fucking broken, you wouldn't know to go to the knee doctor. You're just walking around with this big ass limp. And
right. What the fuck? You ain't figured out there's something wrong? You got this big ass limp?
Because every nigga that you know is walking around with a limp and you think that's normal.
Fuck that. Y'all all need doctors.
Exactly. That's the fucking... And I'm walking around with a healed ass knee and motherfuckers say, you walk funny.
No.
I don't walk funny.
They are walking funny.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm just, like I said, I'm speaking for myself. I'm healed. I have self-control. I could be in any situation and be like, okay, I can either do this or I can do that. Either way, I'm good. Nothing creates or destroys me. Whereas some niggas, if I don't do nothing, then I'm gonna be considered no matter what. And that's trauma.
Yeah.
That's trauma.
People have to get, like, they have to love themselves. They have to learn to feed themselves.
But also with the love, it has to be a healthy love. Niggas don't, like, because people are in love doesn't mean that it is the right, they know how to properly express themselves. They know how to properly express love as well. There's this book, one of my favorite books, called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
Yeah, 5 love languages. It's a must read. Everybody.
If you get a chance.
No, ain't no if you get a chance. Go find the shit. Read it.
As a guest of the show, I'm just being
as
humble.
the host of Salacious Life and the resident relationship expert. Get the book, read the shit. All right, you were saying?
That book actually brings a lot of context to a lot of our experience as in this culture. And when I say in this culture, I'm not talking about in society. Them white motherfuckers, man, they just off the hook right now. I'm talking about within our community, within our culture, within this hip hop culture. Because really, these motherfuckers that be listening to this slow jazz and this Kenny G shit, I can't relate to these motherfuckers. I can't relate to these niggas. I
like slow jazz.
I'm not saying like Kim.
I like classical music. I'm not a Kim.
Yo.
I'm not a Kim fan.
I'm not gonna lie.
I am not a Kim fan.
Listen, the people that love Kim have to have a tag on their motherfucking shoulder or something.
I need to know.
Because that's a different type of Negro right there.
It really is.
And I'm not going, and
that's them different Generation X's.
Listen, it's all, God bless y'all. I just can't relate. You know what I'm saying? I can't relate. I'm a D'Angelo person.
You do love a D'Angelo.
I am a D'Angelo
I'm
person.
completely different. I love a Corinne Bailey Rae or Guapoli.
Get some motherfucking D'Angelo in your life.
I have D'Angelo in my life.
I'm not saying that you don't.
But
I'm saying really, because the thing I love about D'Angelo and the thing that I really want people to understand why D'Angelo is so great is because he came in the game loving black women so intensely, and he didn't deviate despite the changes in the climate, in the cultural climate. He doesn't have songs where it's, except for shit damn motherfucker. Everything else that he has said has been love, support, embracing. Like, D'Angelo's my favorite motherfucking artist of all time, above Stevie, above Michael, above Prince, above D'Angelo. I'm telling,
you said the P word.
I'm saying Prince embraced D'Angelo. Prince knew.
I'm not saying he didn't, but it's still Prince. Like, he's in a whole nother stratosphere.
No, that's what I'm saying. That is the significance of why I'm going on record. That is the significance of why I love this brother so much, because he has been able to define black love before black love really had a definition. Not that, don't look any further, old ass motherfucking, I'm talking about for the hip hop generation. He has defined black love before it was trending. And
so what happened? His alcoholism fucked it up for everybody?
Man, shit, trauma. I would go back to that word, trauma. We are dealing with some abstract shit in this country. They are not just letting black men just be black men and just being cool. And the fact that we are not allowed to just exist without this fucking shit like this right now in 2018, February 16th, will be the first time we have a black superhero without any traces of colonization ever. ever embraced in a form of empowerment an African. That's so crazy. We have not ever, we've had to internalize and create it within our own, we have to tell ourselves. Sometimes we thought that we were lying to ourselves. This is the first time we get to see it. So right now we're in a place where we're actually starting to be able to fantasize our own self-actualization without any interruption or interference in that frequency. First time ever since we've dealt with this fuck shit. So we are dealing with a level of trauma that no one really can relate to. The women are dealing with a trauma that no one can relate to. So there is flaws in how we love. There's flaws in how we, both men and women, that we are dealing with and how and we have to heal from. That it's gonna take. It is gonna take time, and it is gonna be some shit that we're gonna have to figure out. And there's going to be some trial and error and all of those things. And we got to be able to be open-minded enough to have these discussions and really find out our truth and and have the tools to express our truth in order to get where we need to go. Like, dude, you know, I chauffeur, right? And I was chauffeuring in Philadelphia, right? There was times where I was dropping people off, right? From the Philly airport, it would be 2 hours into the state of Pennsylvania. I'd just be driving like a motherfucker with them and drop them off in the middle of this lily white neighborhood where there is no niggas no niggas.
Did you feel okay?
Within a 2-hour radius of where we were. And they don't have to worry about anything impeding on their existence at all. And you know what I'm saying? Comic books, they have Superman that looks like them.
Yeah,
they don't have this trauma because they're 5 generations deep into not having to worry about shit.
So the answer is love yourself. Feed yourself.
The answer is love yourself, and we're eventually going to get there.
Oh, I have to shut down. I'm finding out. So, thank you so much. Don't distract me when I'm trying to tell people to love life and be brave and to live unapologetically. Girl, the fuck? You know what? I'm done for the night. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Sonny, for having me. Yeah, we done for the night.
Hey, follow me at Sonny Ray, whatever.
Sonny Ray Walker on Facebook and all the other platforms. I'll post his shit. Yeah, because, yo, this shit is crazy. You ain't see what was going on in the glass behind you. Don't turn around. I'm done.
All right. Sorry.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Monty from